everyone. While people are being notified about this live, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Patreons. I am now offering courses, live Q&As, and tours from my Patreon, and all tiers, they start at $5 and just go up from there. So if you're interested in any of that, do check it out. Of course, all my links are on the bio. So everybody, as you are joining, I'm about to join up with Lauren. Let's see. There she is. Let's go.
Hi.
Hi. Oh my goodness, you look gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. You look beautiful too.
Thank you. I'm just trying to stay warm at this point.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How cold is it there right now?
It's not. I'm just a wimp.
Oh, that's okay. I have fuzzy socks on. It's okay.
Yeah. What's the weather like out there?
It's actually really beautiful. It's in the 60s right now, but it does get kind of cold at night. So I'm in the valley. It usually is around 60 this time of year, maybe 80s if it's like really warm. But up in Sedona, which is one of my favorite places, they actually get quite a bit of snow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if I'm in the seasons, I can drive like a couple hours and it's all good.
Yeah. Cool. Slash, for anybody who happened to see the Jimothy video that I posted today, and if you haven't, please check it out. It was, I had to try and get through it without crying laughing because I was just letting him speak, and it wasn't trance mediumship by any means. I want to be clear about that, but it was just like I would get the words and then I would say them, and as I was saying them, I was like breaking. So, but there was this one part where he said the nice lady in New Mexico, and I just went with it because I didn't think anything about it. And then you're like, oh, because you're from Arizona.
Yeah, that's okay. It's pretty close. It was New Mexico when he was alive, so
Yeah,
interesting.
and that's what we found out because I believe Arizona became Arizona in 1864 or 65 because yeah, it was like somewhere in there. So he was off at Fort Fisher by that time. News was getting to him very slow, especially with having to do with the Union. So he was right because at the time Arizona was New Mexico. I didn't
The
feed him
desert.
that. So yeah, here's for history. You learn something all the time. So I was just like, wait, no, is it the same though?
Kind of. Now
It's
there's
not
science,
anymore.
but the desert, so I mean.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, obviously Arizona is not New Mexico now. That it just turned out to be a funny thing. But anywho, please introduce yourself. We want to know, who are you?
Hi, my name is Lauren. I am the founder of Lala Lotus Co, and I'm a certified energy healing and Reiki practitioner. And Rebekah and I have been working on a jewelry line called the Ghost Fam Collection. So I'm actually wearing a lot of it. I have the other ones on the table next to me because it's like, I'm going to see it because then I can feel the energy, you know?
I have them ready because I
Yeah.
wanted to be able to show them. So, oh my goodness, yeah, and I remember you had sent me something just out of kindness. Not quite a year ago now, but it seems like a year ago. And I remember I was unpacking the things, and you had made me this wonderful necklace, and I unpacked it, and I was just like, the energy on this is so nice. Not only was it cleared out, I could tell that the stones were well charged. And like that was my kind of point of like, wow, somebody out there knows what they're doing.
Thank you. I learn more every single day about energy and crystals in general, and I'm very particular, which is why it takes me a little bit to make each piece, but even down to like sourcing where I get my stones from or who I get them from. There's been times where I've opened a package and I'm like, that's a no.
Yep. And I feel like certainly that's something you could build over time, and certainly with experience you build, but at the core of it, I feel like that's an intuitive sort of thing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I One of my greatest gifts is that I feel energy so strongly and emotions. So sometimes it's even if I walk in a room and I'm not supposed to be there at that time, I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna leave.
See, we are of the same mind in that. It's kind of like, Do I need to know? I don't need to know. I'm just gonna not know in a different direction.
Yeah, basically. But, through this whole journey, learning how to ground and protect myself has been one of the most important things for me because I was picking up on other people's emotions and I didn't know like where these emotions were coming from because nothing was happening to me. And then I was like, oh, wait, you're extremely intuitive. That's,
Yay!
yeah. But it's been
So
an adventure. So,
yeah, for sure, for sure. And now you have this wonderful business. I want to ask more about how you got into it, but real quick, I want to say for everybody who's been commenting, and I know it's been a little while since I've been on a live, thank you for being here and thank you for all your kindness. Everybody's saying nice stuff, and some people in my comments, they've already purchased some of the jewelry and they already love it. So thank you to all of you already. And yeah, I wanted to ask, how did you get into making jewelry? What was that experience like?
so yeah, this was actually, I started making jewelry during my first spiritual awakening. I had uprooted my life and moved to Arizona for treatment for chronic Lyme disease. And I was sitting in a clinic every day, going to school online, just trying to do what I could and get the treatment that I needed to live a healthy life. And I picked up beads and some hemp, and I was like, I'm going to learn how to make this. I'm going to take a class. So I took a class at Bead World, and it just took off from there. My love for stones really incorporated into everything.
Wow, I love that. So it seems this is so funny. Like it's not funny, but I was filming for my course today for the Patreons, and as I was editing it because I filmed it a little while ago, too. Part of it what is talking about meditative practice and like what brings a person peace and how that can look different for many different people, and it can be healing if you allow it to be healing. And it sounds like making jewelry turned out to be a part of that for you.
Definitely. It got me out of some really dark places in my life because I wasn't in my head and I was like in the physical, yes, getting the healing that I need, but mentally I was just doing something that I loved, and it's like an active meditation for me is the weaving and then also with dance. So those two just mean so much to me.
Yeah. And I blah, blah, words because I have been talking too much today for filming stuff. Anywho, so I feel like because certainly with crafting, it can be certainly for mental health, though also when tying in the spiritual health. So when you start, was there a point for you where you're doing this kind of crafting and it kind of grew into this, oh, this is something spiritual that I can do as well?
So this also was it's so funny. I was reflecting on this last night. I was thinking, I was like, it's funny how something so small can be so life changing. Like the class at Bead World. And then when I was in the clinics getting the treatment, there's certain times they were giving me prescription med that wasn't great for me. And I didn't feel great. And so I took a chance and I found this energy healing master. And the one session changed my life. I actually ended up becoming his student. And then from there, learning Reiki as well with another master. And it really just confirmed to me that energy is a real thing and that I'm not crazy. I do genuinely feel these things. And it's just all around us. It's so cool.
And I'm glad that you brought that up because my next question had to do with Reiki. So if you were to explain Reiki, and then if you were to explain how you can work with physical items that you're working with people or selling them to people, how does that work exactly? What happens?
So Reiki is super cool because it's energy healing as well, but it stems from an ancient Japanese teaching. Rei means universal wisdom or God's energy, and Ki is the life force. So when you break up the words, it's universal life force or God's life force. And what's my favorite thing about that is that since energy is around us, at all times, it's not limited by time and distance. So I really like to Reiki the stones and send them to people because a lot of them do actually store memory. So clear quartz, any variant of quartz, is actually very good for storing memory.
Yeah. Okay. I'm wondering if you might have tips. So if somebody is buying a stone, a crystal, or something of that nature, what are the things that you implement when you're looking for stock so that they're safe and they're clean before they go out? What are things that people can use for themselves when they're looking to buy things?
Ooh, okay. So my first tip would be listen to your intuition always. If you pick something up or you walk into a room and something doesn't feel right, it's okay, to take some time and to recognize is why are you feeling that way and analyze it and understand, trust your intuition. Uh, if you have a stone, let's say one was sent to you and it's already in your house and you're like, okay, what do I do now? What I used to cleanse and then bring in good energy was sage and Palo Santo. And I'm also learning more about other herbs that are really good for cleansing. So I've heard rosemary. I use a lot of blue sage and desert sage as well. And certain stones, actually, I have one here. You can charge on a selenite, actually, all stones, you can charge on a selenite charging plate, especially if they're not water safe. So you can just put them on here, and this actually cleanses and releases stagnant energies.
I love that. Fantastic. Um, I've done that before as well. Like if I get something shipped to me, or if I'm out and about, if I'm like in a store, I use my clairsentience in accordance to my intuition, or claircognizance. And if I'm interested and something catches my eye, I will kind of run my hand over the stones and see. And I don't touch them because I'll be real, some metaphysical places, they're really smart. They will put kinds of enchantments onto their stock so that if you touch it, you really, really want it. So I do not touch things until, because I know some woo-woo shops out here. I know they're doing it and their business is very good. That they're setting their intentions. So, but what I'll do is I'll kind of see, okay, so if I'm using this as an example, if the stones are in here, I'll kind of like run on top and then I'll ask which one would be most aligned with what I'm looking for at the moment. And then I'll kind of just let my fingers fall. Um, so that, as well as typically when I get home anyway, I will do like a spritz clean or like a spritz cleanse. If that's with Florida water, which is a kind of cologne, it's not actual water from Florida. If anybody's out there like, what? I'm certain that there is magical water in Florida. Maybe the Everglades, but anyway, but I will use that, or I have incense. Sometimes I'll use eucalyptus. It's one of my favorites. Pine, cedar. I really am into tree stuff. Juniper. I love that you use blue sage. I actually used to grow blue sage because I was like, hey, there's all kinds of sage and I can grow this, strangely enough, from out here.
That's awesome. It's funny enough you should mention juniper and pine and tree stuff. I just got a shipment in of new herbs that I was going to add to the shop that has like juniper, pine, cedar, and I'm like, okay, what else can we have that's not like standard white sage? What's new out there to me? This is how I
Yeah, and it's a great way, I think, to connect with our continent. And I know out here we have a lot of pine. Like pine is everywhere out here. So even if the pine doesn't specifically come from out here, it's a chance to connect with what's around and also be like, okay, so I want to use this and I want to honor the spiritual energy around me, the nature spirits, and that sort of thing. Um, let's see. I got a question a little while ago. I am reading these, I promise. I just don't remember who asked this. Somebody asked, this is from Monster Crochet. They asked what our favorite stones are. So, what is your favorite stone?
I'm excited about this. Rainbow Moonstone. And so when we used it on so many pieces, I was just thrilled. I'm like, this is great.
Yes, I love Moonstone. I love Rainbow Moonstone. And I could tell how excited you were when we were talking about it too. And mine is Smoky Quartz. I use that in a lot of my practice, and I've got like a relatively big one. It like fits right in my palm, and I kind of use it in part as a worry stone, but also, goodness, if people could see my fidgeting during consultations, they'd be like, is she okay? Like I'm grounded, but like I'll sit there and I'll like kind of do this with the smoky quartz, but nobody can see that because camera.
I can relate. I have 3 crystals here. I did a reading last night and these 3 came out and I'm like, I'm going to keep these because maybe I was meant to see that. So I just fidget. But smoky quartz is good for so many things. It's actually a really good stone for beginner crystal collectors because then they can ground their energies and they still have the healing energy of clear quartz. So it's just really gentle, like grounding protection stone, but also good for healing.
Yeah, for sure. Also, kudos to my chat. You are helping each other, and kudos to my mods right now who are just like answering people's questions. You know what's up? I super appreciate you. I don't want to ignore your chat. Is there anybody on your side who's been asking anything?
Oh, hi, Carly. I just saw my friend Carly pop up. I love you too. I don't really see any questions yet, but everybody loves Jimothy and is saying hello. Jimothy's a favorite. He makes me laugh. I love his mannerisms.
Yeah, he's a hoot to live with. He certainly is. He's very good with like, especially when I was coming into my own abilities and I was having doubts, like, surprise, I talk about this all the time. I'm like, I've had doubts. ah. um his the way that he thinks and the way he responds to things is so differently from me, and I'm so grateful for that, because like I'll be watching something and then I'll just be like, where did that come from? And I'm like, wait, was that me? Like, I won't say it, but I'll just get this thought, and that's the inner ear clairaudience, where it like kind of just gets in the brain and is like, who's that? And I'm like, wait, that I know who that. Oh, hey, Jimothy. Like, that's how it was at the beginning, because I was just like, I think I'm hearing things. I'm not entirely sure, but I know he's around. So if you asked that question or something, here's the answer. And then I would get a like, okay. And then that was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, recently with that video you made where he was like showing you how he can float, I was like, he's gonna show Fannie. He's gonna show Fannie and it's gonna be a thing, and it's
Hold on, I'm asking now because they weren't in here, but because he's saying that she liked it. Oh, she found it funny. She did one of these where she was like,
oh.
he didn't levitate for long though. That did get old. He didn't. It was, yeah. Okay, cool. So now we know. Now we know. Did he deal with it? I never asked her. Wow. See, this is why everybody in my life is so important, because I'm just like, I don't think to ask these things. I make the content and then I'm like, well, like.
It's good. I have different perspectives, and different, like, I have some friends that we all have very different beliefs, but they actually challenge me so I can grow. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you for that insight. I'm gonna sit with that for a minute, and we're gonna see what comes from it.
Yeah. Well, goodness, I could go on that topic for a long time, but I want to get to the jewelry because we are here for reasons. So since we are talking about Jimothy and Fannie, how about we start with Jimothy's adventuring keychain? Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Oh, the lighting makes it bad. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Get two different kinds of lighting for this one. So, I'll have two questions at the beginning, and then I'll see if other people have questions. So, the first question will be, how is it made? What is in this? And then the second question will be, what it was like when I had Fannie with me for the meeting that Jimothy missed.
Oh my gosh, this is actually one of my favorite keychains. Actually, it's our best seller so far. So it's doing really well. It's made out of a organic hemp cord. It is it's kind of like a camo variant is how I explain it, because it's got different variations of like browns and greens, so it's like a natural camo. But it has smoky quartz at the top, and I thought this would be a good one for grounding and protection for adventurers out there, because I know when I go on adventures, my aura is just, it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Have green jade. So this is actually really good for attracting good luck and friendship. I'm like, everybody can use friendship and good luck on adventures. And then that's amplified by the clear quartz right next to it. So it's master healer, and it also amplifies the intentions of all the other stones as well as Reiki, and it holds memory. I like to use that in a lot of pieces. And then we have selenite and citrine. So the interesting thing that I actually just realized as I was setting up this live is that every single piece has a crystal in it that helps with spiritual development and communication with guides. So selenite is really good for communication with guides.
Awesome. And I love it. Like, I love the presentation of this too, because I don't think it is particularly associated with a particular gender norm. Like, to me, it just very much comes across like anybody could have that. And, you know, I know, especially for male presenting folks right now, there's a lot of more feminine stuff out there that perhaps they don't really connect with very much. And so I love that in our line, and we have some other things too that are not particularly like what would be associated as feminine or masculine. It's just like pieces. And that was something too that I noticed with your work that I was like, oh, like I remember you sent me a keychain about a year ago, and Jay still has that keychain. He has it every day, and he loves it so much, and it has different beads on it. And that's why when I was thinking of something that Jimothy or might be a good representation of Jimothy, I was like the keychain, because you can on the go. There you go, like done and done.
Travel around, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to make more unisex things or things that are non-gendered, because I have a habit where I touch things and they end up sparkly, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna maybe start.
It's yeah. I mean, not a bad thing. I do like sparkly things too.
Yeah, definitely, because I'll start making a bracelet and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. This will be for like everyone, and then I'll like add extra things to it, and then later I'm like, this is very feminine. There's no way a super, masculine presence is gonna wear this unless somebody's like, I got this for you because I like you, and they just want to.
And here's hoping for the day where more masculine presenting people can have the glittery stuff and no one will say two things about it, because everybody should be able to appreciate glitter, and not feel put down for it or anything like that. So I'm hoping for that day where, masculine folks can be like, yep, I want glitter and I don't care what people say, or people won't say anything about it, but I understand what you mean too.
I got to hear that saying we should do a collection for Fannie. Ooh, and she also says, I can see a very nice Art Deco for Fannie. I love Art Deco stuff. I actually just got a bunch of Art Deco pendants in the other day.
Yeah, Lisa on my chat, she's one of my mods, was also saying that. I was like, when does Fanny get something? So could be in the works. We can talk about that later.
She's so sweet. Just like the energy that I feel whenever I think about them. It's funny because it's almost like different personalities, but she just feels very like sweet and cute.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Like, I only have good things to say about her. She's not perfect by any means. I mean, I think she's wonderful, and Jimothy thinks she's perfect. Like, but all the same, I just want to give her good representation all the time. So
Yeah, well, since she was present, for the initial meeting, I think it's a good head start, and she's gonna kind of know, like, all right, this is the kind of materials that I have, the kind of crystals she has.
Yeah, because I know, and we're about to talk about Molly, because Molly, she kind of took over the meeting, because basically it was here and I channeled Fanny because Timothy was busy and missed the meeting, which we talked about, but I won't go on to now. It'll be in a reenactment at some point. But yeah, Fanny was hanging out here, Molly came over, and Rupert was also present, which was just
Like this, like, I don't really want to be here because Rebekah's here.
Guess he was just like, what? Jewelry? He's like, I don't wear, like, we'll get to him. But before we get to Molly, impressions of Fanny. Like, I know that conversation, it seemed like it happened so long ago. But working with her, with me kind of translating, do you recall, like, what was that like?
I remember she had very specific, like, yes, yes, yes to certain things, and it was pretty quick. But I was like, okay, she knows what she likes. That's good. And specifically, like when I picked this piece up, the first one that resonates with me when I think of Fanny is actually the white selenite with a little bit of shine in it. I was like, this is kind of cute because it's almost like an incorporation of the both of them, and she did help. It's really cute.
Yeah. And that is her, she's not a person that goes on and on and on. She's pretty straightforward on things, but also in a very polite way every time. So
Yeah. No, there wasn't any like moment of anxiety or anything like that. It was like, yeah, I like this, this, and this. I was like, okay, yeah, we can make that work.
And she did very well. Because who knows what Jimothy would have come up with if he were, oh my goodness, you want to talk about scatterbrain. I don't know what would have happened.
Oh gosh, that might be an interesting experiment just to see like what he would come up with on his own. But I think Fannie was definitely like a guiding hand to kind of like keep it focused.
Yeah, yeah. They're good together. They do wonderful things together. They're good for each other in different ways, and it's been great. Just not even being a part of things, just kind of like as time has progressed, just kind of being like, oh, so you two are, oh, okay, cool, 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 cool. Like that's great. Um,
Very balanced,
oh,
which
what's
is
that?
it seems very balanced between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Of them. Like their energies for me, and like I don't really hang out with them regularly. It's just like when I tap into people, I'm like, he seems kind of like a jokester and super sweet but goofy, and she's just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, before I move on, any closing things on the keychain or anything like that before we get to Molly's jewelry?
I think we're good. Yeah, Molly definitely ran the show for the for the meeting. It was fun. It was good. She knows what she likes, you know.
Yeah, we definitely, that was an extra 30 minutes in the meeting, I think, that I was just like, I thought this was gonna be, I thought we were gonna talk for like maybe 30 or 40 minutes. It went into being like an hour and a half, and you were so lovely to talk to. And I was just like, Molly, could we just get to it? Like, could we just get, um, so fun thing. I don't know if you were aware of this, maybe you were. I found out after I had gotten this, I want to call it a prototype, but it's like the full thing. Um, I found out after that this would have been a style that would have been seen during the time when Molly was alive. Now, granted, not so much the weaving that you've done and the knot tying, but this kind of style where you have a piece that's in the center, and then you have a choker, and then you have the pieces here. Did you know that?
No, wow. That I feel excited because I shortly before we got started, I started developing these chokers just because I was like, oh, I want to do something that kind of pays homage to my belly dance. I really like it, and then it's historically accurate. That's amazing.
Yeah, like, and I would say generally speaking, like obviously for anybody who's going to look at this, they're going to be like the weaving work and the beads were different. Absolutely they were. Though generally speaking, that kind of choker with these sort of hanging pieces with a center kind of visual point, that was a thing. So, just other things between Jimothy and New Mexico slash Arizona and Molly and
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, when I first started, I was really actually, I have one here. Of course I do. I'm like right in front of my work table, so I'm like everything. I was picking up these like estate sale Art Deco,
Mhm.
very old pieces, and I was like, how can I give this a new life but still make it to where it feels like it's supposed to be on the piece? And that's kind of how these came to be.
I love that. I regularly am now looking at your website because all of your stuff is so unique, just to be like, hey, what's new? That's how a bunch of my friends wound up with solstice presents. So yeah.
But everybody that has come to the shop or just like, said anything in the comments, everybody's been so lovely and it's been so refreshing. And my gosh, I love you guys so much. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. They make my day. They've been leaving reviews and just because they're like, I'm excited for my jewelry. I like your work. I'm like,
Yay! Oh my goodness. Well, for those of you who went over there, and certainly for those who have purchased or just left a kind review or a question or something like that, thank you so much. I, one of my affirmations is the best people find me. And at first I felt really like ego about it, right? Because I was just like, that sounds really like the best people find me. But no, like I want everybody to have that affirmation because it's not I'm looking for the best people. It's like the best people find me. And I just want to share that space and share that community. So that makes me so happy that you have also had that experience. So yay.
beautiful. I keep getting, I do this because I get like energy chills with certain things. That's a really good affirmation. I'm going to start using that one regularly because as I see things evolving, I'm like, we're making healthier choices. Better things are coming in. I need.
And it's something too, do still get nervous about meeting people or talking in front of groups, which is an odd thing because I did theater for so long, but I am naturally an introvert. And sometimes if I'm about to meet somebody and it's just nerves that my brain does, I will just repeat that back to myself and be like, the best people find me. And it's the same thing for consultations. Before every consultation, I'm just like, the best people find me. So if you're watching this, you're the best people right now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of lovely souls in here that I actually do know, and some that I have yet to really form a super like close bond with. But everybody's been, so helpful and so kind. Somebody here says the 1830 chandelier style cut was popular for Molly. Yeah, they have very good insight. Actually, I'm learning a lot from the comments.
Right? So let's get into this. I will not describe it anymore because my words only go so far. But yeah, I will give it off to you. Can you explain what is going on here?
Yes, so that is a micro macrame. The weaving part is micro macrame. Macrame. Try to say that fast. And it's lapis lazuli. It has rainbow moonstone, amethyst, and emerald on it. So the idea behind it was like, what would Molly wear for her night out? What would the intentions be? I'm sure there would be so much fun. And it is a very guiding piece. It does tend to guide people, but at the same time, it encourages you to be your authentic self in general and love yourself truly. There's a lot of heart opening stones on there, like rose quartz and emerald. They're actually pretty close together in relation to the heart chakra. So I thought that was really cool. I'm like, I call it my good luck charm now. I wear it whenever I have a big, like something happening in my day and I just need a little extra confidence. I'm like, all right, I'm going to wear the earrings and the necklace. We're good.
Yeah. And I can attest to when I put this on after I did the unboxing video, which I'm still going to say again, your boxing is so beautiful. I felt like I was opening a wonderful gift and I didn't want to break the seals because I was like, oh, they're so pretty. I managed to spare all of them. I kept all of the seals.
That's awesome.
I don't know what that says about me. I really love wax seals, and I always like cry a little bit if I have to break them. So I really try not to break them.
When I like wax seals in the mail and I'm like, I'm gonna rip the paper around it.
Yep. But when I put this on the first time, I really felt it. Like even as it's close to my neck right now, I feel like there's a little bit of a bubble, but I know what that is, and it's the energy of what how do I describe this? I've noticed this with this kind of stone in particular, where basically if my throat chakra is not energetically clear, I feel like a little bubble. So it's a sign for me of, okay, I need to just do some basic cleansing right there, acknowledge whatever I've kind of gathered and let it go. Or release it. I prefer release it because let it go makes it sound like it's lost somewhere. It's like, no. But between this, we wanted to make a piece where you have love represented, self-love in particular, confidence, and also clear speaking and clear hearing. Molly is able to speak as she can because she's very smart. Nothing goes past her. Like she's constantly listening to what is going on, and that's why she's so quick-witted, because she's the kind of person you wouldn't expect to have listened to everything and to have memorized a bunch of stuff, and then for her to be like, well, yeah, when you said this. Like, it's perfect.
That's what makes her really good, though, for helping with the girls at the coffee shop to help like protect this. She sees all and she acts accordingly,
Mm-hmm. I think too, when you're in a crowded room, these pieces are what you want to have, like the energy that they bring. It's the ability to be aware, to speak up for yourself, to have confidence, self-love, and also to be able to listen to what's going on. Like I feel like you could wear this to a party and you could wear it to a business meeting and get all the stuff done that you need to get done.
Well, and it's really interesting too that you mentioned specifically the throat chakra. The lapis is directly connected to the throat chakra, and I feel like that's one of the ones for me that tends to get stuck a lot because it's like, how do I explain everything that I feel energetically into words people are gonna understand?
Mm-hmm.
And has really helped me with that, or even just to listen. It's almost like oh gosh, I forgot which clairsense it is. When you hear.
Mm-hmm. Clairaudience.
Clairaudience, thank you. I was actually wearing earrings, and I channeled my grandpa, and I didn't realize it. And I was like, "Did you say something to me to my mom?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, well, I think Grandpa's near us," because he was just in my ear.
Yeah. I love that. And I've had those experiences as well. Now, granted, with my pieces, I've kept them mostly safe here because I want them to always look the best when I'm making videos. But I have really wanted to wear them out and about, and I've had to be very cautious. I mean, all of your work, like I still have the piece that you sent me almost a year ago, and it's still like very well made, no tatters, no tears, nothing like that. And I have put some use to it, but while I'm making content, especially as we're doing the push right now, I've been good and I've kept it here and safe and that kind of thing. So I can share it with all of you, even if that means not always sharing it with me in the like physical, but that time will come. I know it will, but I've been very safe. So
Oh, taking care of it. If it's any reassurance, though, this one has honestly been beat to hell a few times, and it's still holding up really well. And there's no damage really to it, but I mean, like I've thrown it in my purse and then forgot about it and found it like a week later, and I was like, "Oh my god, I was looking for this." Everything's
okay, that makes me feel better, especially now that we've done this live. Yeah, I'm totally gonna wear this out more because I have had times where I was like, I want to wear it. But yeah, also the earrings for anybody who wants to see. I'll turn the light off again. So they match. Perfect. Yep. And you use, is it sterling silver that you use for the earrings?
Yeah, so the earring hooks itself is actually surgical steel, but all the fixings on all the pieces are sterling silver, or like medical surgical steel, because I really didn't want to take a risk and bother anybody's skin. I know there's a lot of folks with sensitive skin. And it really sucks when you get a beautiful piece that you can't wear because you have an allergic reaction to it. So I wanted to make something everyone could enjoy.
Absolutely, and I know that is certainly appreciated, and that's one thing I've always appreciated the effort you put into finding quality items and putting that into your work. Um, so okay, we've hinted to it. What was it like working with Molli on designing this?
Well, honestly, it was really fun because she had so many ideas. And I know when we initially started designing it, we were going to make it with a satin, and I was like, okay, this is going to be great. And then as I started working with it, it just kept unraveling. I was like, we should make something maybe a little bit more sturdy. And I'm glad we decided to go with the cotton cord instead because it holds together really nicely. But yeah, Molly had so many ideas, and it was great because I could see how many different directions it was taking, and I know it took quite a few emails to narrow down like what specifically we're gonna do for the pendant, but we had the general stone. She was very drawn to the nice stones, like the emeralds and the Herkimer diamonds.
Yep, yep.
She's a lady of taste, you know.
Mm-hmm. And it was funny, like when she was here and I was on the call, one, she decided she liked you very quickly because you have similar features to her, which I'm like, okay, cool. Remember we talked about that, the dark hair and eyes, like, um, so there you go. But the other thing was, she loves working with women entrepreneurs, and so she was very much on board with this because she was just like, oh, a woman who makes jewelry and that is part of your livelihood. She was like, okay, cool, cool, like not working for somebody else, that's cool. And then I also noticed throughout the process, like when we had to change things up for like what you meant in like the cotton core or cord and that sort of thing, she never raised a stink about it. Like I could tell that she trusts you because she was just like, "Oh, that doesn't work. Okay." And she was just like, "Doesn't work. Scrap. No." Because I would like ping her and be like, "Hey, is this okay?" Yep.
Yeah, she's very fun to work with. She's honestly always been one of my favorites just because I see how she watches out for other entrepreneur women,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that that means a lot because it's a lot to start your own business and really go out in the world, and it makes you vulnerable in some ways, and it makes you grow in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. And then she got into chatting and that sort of thing. I feel, yeah, we mainly stuck to business, but I think there were a few things. I don't think I said them because I was just like, let's get to the thing. We're in the meeting for this long because there were a few things where it's like, I kept moving them out of my head because they were like random questions like, who are you and where's Arizona and like all this stuff, and I was just like, goodness.
I remember comments about my top, and then her trusting me because I can make the color contrast nicely with her features. I remember that because I had my Edwardian lace like overlay, and she's like, I like what she's doing with the top.
She really did like take a moment to be like, oh, what the, and just that, and like she was like, you showed up for the meaning and style. She was for it. So.
I do my best. And I was like, no, you know what? The blue matches the set.
So yeah, cool. Well, I don't see too many questions except for praise for Molly. I mean, yes, she's not here right now because I got this and she's doing something else tonight. Very busy. I'm not gonna ask what. What's up?
I actually have a good question over here in the comments. Someone is asking that, well, they say that I have a lot of Herkimer diamond, which I'm actually holding one. And they're asking how it's energetically different from clear quartz. And that's a really good question. Herkimer diamonds are mined in Herkimer, New York, and they're double terminated clear quartz. But because they're double terminated, they actually amplify energy from both ends. And it's like clear quartz, higher vibration. It's just a lot of energy, but it's good for honestly almost everything. You can clear and charge all the chakras with it. You can amplify other intentions and stones. So the master healer.
Yeah, I love that. And that reminds me, because you talk about where it's from, I've actually taken a liking to finding stones that are more local in this area and in the Appalachian Mountains, where I also spend some time as well. And I've been doing it as a way to better connect, because it's like, it just helps when you're holding the stone and you can understand like, oh, it is nearby, even if I can't see it. And it's kind of like, in my mind, I imagine or draw energetic connection lines. So it's just like we're all together. And technically you could do that anywhere because space and time is only relevant when you're in an aging skin suit. So otherwise.
Like energetic roots. Funny you should mention that. I learned recently that we actually have a mine in Arizona for amethyst, and it's amazing. And I'm hoping to source my future amethyst purchase from them because it's so close.
Yes, I love that. I love that idea. I also love amethyst because I am a February child, and an Aquarius, for anybody who's wondering. But anywho.
Vibe with Aquarius.
Yes. So I was thinking of moving on to Rupert's jewelry. It's funny calling.
I know I have a ton on right now, but I'm actually wearing the protective one.
Yeah.
I wear different arms for different reasons, so that's why the protective one is on my left arm to bring in the protection. Yeah, this is my favorite grounding and protection piece now.
Yeah, I do something similar as well. I typically wear protective elements on my left, and I wear more cleansing elements on my right. Granted, for anybody watching, that's not oh, you have to do that too. No, you do whatever feels right for you. But yeah, how about if you could, once again, use your lingo, because I will not use my lingo. You have better lingo on these things than I do.
So the Rupert protection bracelet was inspired by Rupert because he is so protective to Rebekah, which I think is something really beautiful. And it's made with hematite, shungite, black tourmaline, a dark green moss agate, and a phantom quartz. The hematite is an extremely grounding protective stone, and so is the shungite. But what I really like about the shungite is that it also protects against EMF and radiation. So I feel like, everybody's got a phone now. I actually have a shungite die back of mine, and I can just get overwhelmed very easily from the stimulation of the phone. So wherever you go, it's good to have a protective stone, grounding stone. A shungite is my favorite. The moss agate is actually really good for healing. I've been giving these to people who get sick quite often because I noticed that it seems to help with the immune system a little bit, and it keeps them healthier and thriving. And then the phantom quartz, it's a little bit of a pun, honestly, because it's phantom. But It's very similar to clear quartz. It just has more inclusions. So Master Healer amplifies intention, stores memory of Reiki. Uh, so it makes it a really like well-rounded protective piece because it's the biggest stone in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as I said in a recent video, you will see me wearing these when I do more heavier stakes cleansings. Now, some of those cleansings I am hired for, and those are not being filmed. I may talk about them later if I feel so led. Um, but yeah, I get this question a lot where people are like, "Oh, do you ever meet bad spirits, like bad stuff that's out there?" And I'm like, I didn't meet the nice ones without going through some of the bad ones first. It's like meeting people. Sometimes you go about life and you're like, oh, this is great. I'm meeting everybody. I'm talking to folks. And then that, one or two or five or however many I've lost count folks come through and they are not nice people. And you just learn from there. It's like, okay, that was a not nice person. I'm going to move on and be better and not repeat my mistakes. And it is the same way with spirits. I can do what I do through intuition, through practice, and through having had a lot of experiences that were not so nice and were some of which were very scary at the time. I've had to handle that a lot. So now I believe in more proactive measures, and I was serious when I talked about like I will be wearing these. It's the it one I just love already. Just like I feel there's just this kind of added layer of groundedness, but also this circulation of energy that comes with these, and it's just I feel connected to the earth more, and to be able to just simply hold something and feel that connection really has a lot to say with what you are doing with Reiki, with finding your stones, with the intention that you put into these items, because oftentimes it's more so the practitioner putting the energy into the items rather than the items themselves. But I feel like when you create these things, you're able to share that energy with who you are creating them for. So that is unique, and I certainly appreciate it.
I actually had started doing this within the last month, especially for custom pieces. Every time I make a knot, I will either say mentally or out loud the intention I have for that person. So if we're making a protection piece, I'll just, thank universe, thank God for the protection going to so and so. And I'll be very specific about it. So when you have a very involved piece that's like over 300 knots, I'm like, this should hold up really well for a long time. I hope it helps.
For sure. And I love that. And I think that's part of the quality, when you're making something by hand and you're a part of a practice. Bead making and making jewelry is ancient. And granted, we use different substances now, but some of these things you could have used, thousands of years ago. And it says a lot of difference, like when a machine is making these things. And granted, yes, I have machine made things. Like I'm not going to, like this was made by a machine, obviously. But when you have somebody actively putting intention into what they are doing, it just feels different. So that's for you.
You. Yeah, I've noticed that early on, and that's where like before even starting my business, I was very much wanting to support other small businesses because it's just the little things feel different. They matter, and it matters to them, and you can tell, and it just means a lot to me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, so working with Rupert for the few things that he said in that meeting, what was that like?
Oh, well, he didn't say very much other than I don't know. I don't why I don't understand how stones have meanings. And so I think we kind of designed it for him, but we're like, navy and black is a good color. And he's like, sure.
And what Molly at some point, she was chiming in a little bit too.
Design his a little bit.
Yeah, she was like, that one. But I think because he understood what this was for, and he understood that it was good that other people also have protective elements and they draw that energy as they will. So he understood it was for a good cause, but all the same, he was just like, I don't. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something from his time. Buttons. All I see are buttons. Okay, so if you're ever into designing buttons or making necklaces of buttons, that would, or a button. I don't know.
Happening. Let me see.
Oh, can you hear me?
There we go. Okay, I don't know what happened there.
Okay. Apparently, talking
My
about
audio just cut out for a
jewelry
second.
bit much. You were good. You were good. But yeah, going back to the, let's see, for design elements, we basically stuck to protective things. I mentioned I wanted a green stone because that's something he's always connected with. He likes the color green. And then we stuck to a navy and a black cord because it's not too flashy, and he's not a flashy guy. He doesn't like all that. So it's a very practical item. It's not going to hit anybody over the face. You know, they're not going to look at that and be like, "Whoa!" But like the point is, I think it's personal, you know, for what people want it to do. And of course, if they want it out, people can notice it. But otherwise, it's not. You know, it's not Molly's jewelry, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that it's like designed for everyday wear, so it doesn't really matter what you're wearing, where you're going. If you just feel like you want or need that little extra energy, you have it. And I really liked your message that you said in your video where you're like, the power is within the holder. It's just like a little extra boost. So it's that really intention from whoever is wearing it will help them a lot.
Yeah. I'd say too, with any of these pieces, I know I charge my jewelry from time to time, whether that's over incense or smoke from a flame or the selenite that you mentioned, like having a selenite plate or something like that. I regularly do that, especially when I'm going into gooky situations. Typically, after I leave, I do myself, and then I pull out my jewelry, and I'm like, gonna get that cleaned off.
Really good idea. Yeah. Actually, your necklace, the rainbow obsidian, absorbs negative energy. And that's where I'm like, guys, cleanse this often because it like absorbs it so you don't have to deal with it, but you still need to clear it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, your display looks so much better than my hand.
This is the one I was like, maybe since I'm not wearing this, I'll put it on the thing and we can all see it a little better. But this was honestly one of the most fun pieces I think I've ever made because it's inclusive for everyone. Like they can design it, they can make it their own, put anything that matters to them in there. And I like that we picked a like clear quartz to go inside the bottle because it's water safe. So even if you wanted to do moon water or whatever, it would be completely fine.
Yeah. And so if you didn't catch the video, we're talking about, so this is a corked bottle, and the cork, it comes off pretty easily. I'm not going to do it too often just because I don't want the cork to get, well, you know what? I'll do it because it's pretty, see, it's in there pretty good, though I am going to probably glue it at some point. But you can see the crystals that are in there. And I regularly, when I'm out and about, like walking and stuff, I will find like pine that has come off the tree, or we also have juniper here too, or I've got rosemary out in the garden. And I am going to put that in here at some point, or what you were also mentioning, like moon water, or, some people may have little pieces of loved ones, like maybe like a string or something like that, or it's very Victorian to have hair in there, but sure, you do you. Um, just a lot of questions you might have to answer later, but you do you. Um, but yeah, it's just, I wanted to make something to encourage people to be their authentic selves, because I never wanted to be the kind of person where people are like, oh, I want to be Rebekah the Ghost Guide. I'm like, please be you. Please, everybody be you. We're here in this world, and we're all trying to do the best that we can for each other. And so that means that everybody's got to be themselves. So even though, you can get this and they all look similar as far as like what beads are being used or what crystals are being used, this is always going to be you, because it's going to be your intention, your personalization right in there. So that being said, yeah, you mentioned this has a lot of everything in it. Do you want to go on or go into more of what crystals are involved?
Yeah, so I know when we had our meeting, we first picked the peach moonstone and the blue
Mhm.
shadakite because those are some of your favorite stones. And as I was looking into them, I was realizing like these are great for learning more about yourself and embracing who you truly are without judgment. Both of
Mhm.
them. They're both highly spiritual stones and great for communication with guides. But I find a lot of power in moonstone in general. And there's also rainbow moonstone right in the center. So that for me, every time I think moonstone, I think intuition, I think high priestess. So for me in my practices, I work with Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene a lot. I think of them because the blue symbolism comes out for me. And we also have, I mentioned this briefly earlier, we have the rainbow obsidian. This
Mhm.
is a highly spiritual form of obsidian because of the flashes in it, but it does absorb negative energy. So that's where I would recommend to cleanse it regularly. Because some grounding protection stones will actually like cleanse it and release it, and then that energy is different. Whereas this one will store it and keep you safe, but then you need to cleanse it later. And then we also have the smoky quartz, which is a good grounding protection stone, and the amethyst, which is the stone of tranquility, but it's also highly protective and intuitive.
Mhm. I got a great question here from Dark Opera. Oprah. The question is, how do you know what each gem does? Like, is there a bipedal source or something for it? So, I guess we're talking about the origins of crystal meanings.
Mhm.
Go for it.
So I've done a lot of my own research. So a lot of this is coming from me physically feeling the stones, intuitively feeling the stones, and then doing a bunch of research through books, through the internet, through other people who have worked with stones. Sometimes even the minds themselves. If I'm like, hey, what's this? I don't know what this is. Sometimes they'll tell me about it, and I can kind of go from there and actually feel it out, and then learn how does this work for me. And even though I feel certain things, it might resonate differently for somebody else. But so these
Mhm.
are very general meanings, just mostly through research and my own feeling. But it'd be good to see how these stones resonate for other folks and see if it's similar or different.
Yeah, yeah. And I would encourage that as well. Uh, when I go shopping for stones, it's more recently, it's always been in person. Just because I am fortunate to live in a place that has a lot of metaphysical and gem shops and that sort of thing. I realize not everybody is close to shops like that, so you do you and you shop how you feel. Um, for me, when I walk in, it's usually there's something in the back of my mind that says I'm looking for something, and I just sort of I so for me more recently it has been more intuitive where I'm just sort of like drawn to a place in the room, and I just once again I'll put my hand over things. I won't touch them, but I'll just kind of be like, okay, where are we headed here? What do I need? um, Occasionally though, I will specifically look for stones that will assist in specific things. So protective stones, I've got plenty of jewelry with protective stones on them, and I had those custom made as well from different places, though there are certainly other places. The smoky quartz, that one, a friend at the same shop that I was at, she was just like, hey, feel this. And I was like, okay. And I felt it and I was like, I'm buying this now. And I don't know why. I don't know what it means. And she was like, it'll be good for you. She's intuitive too. And I was just like, okay, like, check out. There we go. But now it's one of my favorite stones. So yeah, thank you for that explanation. I would also say too, as far as like the origin of what different stones mean comes from where those stones come from. I know there's a lot of quartz in North Carolina, and depending on who you talk to, will tell you what those quartz mean. And I know in my kit, when I'm doing different consultations, I've got so many different kinds of quartz because it feels right for where I am, and that makes sense to me. Certainly, I've got other things too, but that just made sense for me. Um, so cool. Okay, so we are finishing up here. Do you have any other thoughts, feelings, anything like that that you want to get into?
Um, this process has been amazing. It's been a lot of fun, honestly. Like I do recognize that there's a lot of work behind it. Everything, I was able to make for the most part before we did the launch, but the Molli chokers I'm kind of making as I go. So thank you all so much for those of you who've been so patient waiting. They take me between 10 and 12 hours to make because I'm very meticulous. But I really appreciate everybody, you and Jay for helping, and the Ghost Fam for helping design and being present, and just everybody who's, been supportive and loving and really shows an interest in energy. I think it's great that they've been able to ask questions freely and receive help, because one of the things that drew me to you first was understanding that you help people not be afraid of their gifts and embrace it and help them learn how to use it.
Well, thank you. And it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. And that's the thing. I felt like this whole process has just been like us just building each other up and being like, oh, do you want to do that? Like there was never a time where I felt like I couldn't bring an idea to you or say how I was feeling or something like that. So it's just been wonderful working with you. And I'm grateful to know you, and we have this going now, which is super exciting. I'm grateful to all of you who you got on the early interest form like weeks ago. I announced it to my Patreons first, and I announced it to our online exclusive communities. And already I also, it was on the newsletter that I have on my website too, and already we started getting a lot of interest forms. If you did not get that email, it may have gone to your spam. I between myself and my assistant, we were keeping track of those. It's just sometimes they go to spam. So if you didn't get it, sales are now open. I don't think we sold out of anything yet, right?
No, I actually made a tally because I was like, I'm going to have the inventory just in case we go over it. So we have 15 Rebekah necklaces left, 18 Molli Night Out earrings, 10 Molli Night Out chokers, 11 keychains, 7 of the black protection bracelets, and 14 of the navy. So we're about like halfway out roughly of each. And then we are working on the restock. I have a lot of the materials stored for that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get a few more, but I'm like, okay, we're prepping.
Yeah. I would say too, for anybody who's interested, don't wait on the restock, because this does take a lot of time to do, because every knot has intention behind it, and that will be coming in the new year, though it's coming. We're not announcing exactly when it's coming yet, because this is part of your work. You are working with me on this. You also have your full business as well when you're making other things. So yeah, that's not a crazy amount of stock left to everybody. So if you're interested in that, I've got all links you need in my bio. Of course, links are in Lauren's bio as well. And yeah, thanks so much for this interest. And this was just an idea that I had. I was just like, could we make jewelry based off of like spirits that I talk about? You've just been wonderful to work with.
It's been so fun working with you. Thank you so much for thinking of me with this opportunity. And it's honestly, I feel like I kind of came home to a family when I joined the Quirks and Conjure group. Everybody was just so welcoming and so kind. And I have so many beautiful comments on my side right now, just saying thank you for my art and that I'm amazing. And that means the entire universe to me.
Yeah, for sure. And what you're referring to, for anybody who's not aware, I have an exclusive community of Patreons and invite-only folks, and that is that group. So yeah, it's been wonderful there. And for those of you watching who are part of that group, thanks for being there. And yeah, well, I'm gonna let you go. I think I have Chinese food waiting for me. So I hope you have a great night, and thank you again for meeting with me. Thank you all for watching this night, and this will be up on YouTube within the week.
It's nice to talk to you. Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy your Chinese food.
Yeah. All right, good night.
Good night.